if reposted.
Today we're joined by Andy Schreiber. He's an entrepreneur and CEO of Pure Vitamin Club and Pure Coffee Club. You can check them out on Twitter and Instagram at Pure Coffee Club. They do so many cool videos. There was one yesterday on how to do a pumpkin spice latte without using sugar. You can just use spices around your house. I'm going to jump right into it. Andy, you have a quote in your email signature that says, "Additives and fillers suck, so we don't use them." I mean, so that seems
right.
like an obvious thing, but why are more people not doing that?
Because it's, as a manufacturer, it's much more expensive to manufacture vitamins without all the additives and fillers.
Mm-hmm.
So when we started the company, my partner, Vinny Tortorich, and I, back in 2014, there was almost nothing on the market. Now there have been some other companies that have caught on, but at the time you really could not find vitamins without fillers. Just couldn't find them.
And then, Andy, this is so great because I work really early in the morning. I've worked that way for 20 years, and I've always been told that coffee is the devil. And here you are preaching the good virtues of coffee as a health drink. Tell us why coffee is healthy.
It is a health drink. It is. There are more antioxidants in coffee than in pretty much any other food, more than in blueberries or bell peppers or citrus fruit, any of the things that people tell you, oh, that's great, they're full of antioxidants. You're going to get more antioxidants from coffee than from any of that, number one. Number two, it is naturally ergogenic. The caffeine is actually good for you. It speeds up your metabolism. The kind of rush that people talk about, that's real, but it's not fleeting the way like a sugar rush is. Sugar, you get that rush and half an hour later you crash. You don't do that with caffeine. So it is good for you. There's nothing unhealthy whatsoever about coffee.
So I think one of the things that people, the average American that drinks coffee, loves the sugar in it. I see your NSNG sign summit behind you.
Yeah.
Can you talk about how, like, having better coffee makes it, it's very delicious, and adding sugar to your coffee probably makes it taste worse?
Well, it does. If you're drinking good coffee, there are so many different flavors. There's so many different varieties, depending on if it's a blend or a single origin or a dark roast or a light roast or how you make it. There's such a variety of flavors. And when you add sugar, or even worse, artificial sweeteners, which, invariably have some sort of a bitter aftertaste, you're masking the taste of the coffee itself. Coffee's, the sort of the tasting notes, what you talk about in the coffee business, the things that you kind of notice on the back of your tongue. You might notice a little bit of chocolate flavor. You might notice a little bit of fruity flavor with some of them. It depends, a nutty flavor. They all have a little bit different notes depending on where they're grown and how they're roasted. And you're going to miss all that if you just mask it up with sugar.
Andy, I got to confess that I probably should not be here because I'm married to a coffee snob. She should be here. So I know coffee snobbery very well. Just give us the quick idea what the difference is between a good cup of coffee and like a bad cup of coffee. I feel like you're going to talk about Robusta and Arabica here, but nevertheless, for my coffee snob wife.
Well, you talk about the two main type of beans, the Robusta and the Arabica. And that is part of it, but there's a bit of a misunderstanding about that. There are good Robusta beans and bad Robusta beans, and there are good Arabica and bad Arabica. It has to do with how they're grown. There are all kinds of subtypes. There are a Catois and a Bourbon. There are all these different sub-varieties, even within Arabica. And you'll see most of the, gourmet coffee brands will talk about, 100% Arabica beans. Well, that's great. And the coffee that we all grew up on, those of us especially over a certain age, when we grew up on Folgers and Maxwell House and U-Ban, and if you were really fancy, chock full of nuts, that was mostly Robusta beans. The thing about Robusta is they are much cheaper to grow because they'll grow year round, whereas Arabica has a short season. They can grow in a much more diverse growing conditions. They just don't take as much care, and they can be, considered cheap beans, but there are good Robusta beans. One of our coffees actually uses some Robusta, our athletic blend. because Robusta has a higher caffeine content. So we blend that with some Arabicas for our athletic blend, and we have a coffee that's got 55% higher caffeine content than most others, but still delicious.
So I'm curious, you're an entrepreneur, you've been involved in many different ranges of businesses, and you mentioned you and your co-founder Vinny came up with this company. What was the genesis behind it? I mean, it's such a crowded market for coffee. Like, what problem were you solving, or what inspired you to start Pure Coffee Club?
Well, Pure Coffee Club grew out of Pure Vitamin Club. So to answer that question, I have to back up a little bit and tell you that we started Pure Vitamin Club out of something that Vinny had been wanting to do for a long time. Vinny is a fitness guy. He was one of the first, trainers before there were trainers, before everybody had one. We're talking, 30 plus years ago, back in New Orleans, where he grew up outside of New Orleans, but where he was living. And he had been wanting to do this for a long time because he believes in vitamins and, proper supplementation, but hated the fact that they were all full of, junk. So after he, gained some incredible success with a book he wrote called Fitness Confidential that shot to #1 on Amazon.
I actually read that book and lost 40 pounds subsequently. So thanks.
Did you really? Fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a great book, actually.
It is.
So after that, then he started his podcast, actually right around the same time, originally called The Angriest Trainer, but it's now since changed to Fitness Confidential as well. And that developed a huge audience really quickly. So based on the success of those, he decided, you know what, I've not been able to find a vitamin company that I like. I'm just going to start one. And he and I have been friends for, close to 30 years. And we had done a couple of businesses before, none of which really went anywhere. So he calls me up one morning and says, we're going in the vitamin business. I was like, okay, talk to me. And we got together with our third partner. And over lunch, we came up with the name. We came up with a plan. Weren't sure how it was going to go. We invested somewhere around $20,000 in the company. And figured that we would use Vinny's podcast and his presence online to promote it, and we didn't know how it would go. But it went incredibly well. Within a couple of years, we had a very, very sizable audience market for it. And based on that, Vinny is also, like your wife, Larry, a coffee snob. And he's been promoting for years coffee as a health drink. To our own. We can market to, we already have an audience. We have a market of people who follow us and trust us. He is constantly promoting to them the value of coffee as part of a healthy lifestyle. So let's do it ourselves.
You guys have this interesting thing called the Explorer series. And I was listening to you talk about this. Coffee is such a global thing. It comes from everywhere.
That's
Ethiopia,
right.
Venezuela. What have you learned, sort of from the global perspective about coffee itself?
There are big regional differences in the natural flavors associated with coffees. So if you get into the African varieties, you're going to get, and this is broadly speaking, there are obviously exceptions, but broadly speaking, when you get into the Africans, you're getting coffees with a lot of fruit notes. Part of the whole thing with the Explorer series is the rest of our coffees are well, with one exception, our Costa Rican honey is a single origin, but the rest are all blends. The Explorer series is about moving around the world and experiencing what different coffees can offer with a single origin. So, for example, our very first one that we put out was from Ethiopia, and that was an incredible coffee. It had, if you tasted it, you'd go, that's blueberry. Not just blueberry, but it literally tasted like somebody had dissolved a blueberry pie in your cup of coffee. It was unbelievable. It was unmistakable. You could smell it. And it's not like there are any blueberries in there. That's just the natural kind of tasting note. If you get into the Central Americans, you're going to get a lot of chocolatey, kind of really rich flavors like that. Same thing, similar with the northern South America, like the Colombians and from that region. If you go into like the Indonesian coffees, the Javas and all of that, you're going to get very kind of earthy flavors. So it just depends on where it's coming from, and there's all kinds of variations within that. So what we've been trying to do with the Explorer series is with our buyers, we're asking them, constantly bring us new single origins that are exceptional, that have a very, very specific taste. The current one that we have is a Brazilian, and of all things, what you pick up in that, there are like two main things you pick up in terms of flavors. There's a kind of a stone fruit, like a peachy somewhere in there, but there's also a graham cracker, and it's like distinctive. A lot of people you taste and you go, what is that? It tastes really familiar. I can't place it, but it's graham cracker.
Oh, wow. That sounds awesome.
It's incredible. Yeah.
Guys, Andy Schreiber, so many cool things. If you want to check out the blueberry graham cracker coffees, check them out at Pure Coffee Club on Instagram and Twitter. I'm Andrew Keller for Andy and Larry saying thanks for stopping by.